Yeah, then let me move on and start into Classic. Start the deep dive with Classic. So repeating from like 20 minutes ago, continue consolidation, going in other application segments and power ranges where the dependency on the combustion engine and the diesel combustion engine is much stronger than where we are right now. Align the engine portfolio, accessing high growth pockets such as defense, but also drive performance with new business models like the one in India. I introduced that one earlier. And at this point, I just want to say it is a good model, but when you and us meet in 2035 and we look back, it'll certainly look different. And that's important, that there is no absolute truth for these sort of things. So we're going to update it on a regular basis. And not only update the model, but also update the implication we derive for our portfolio on the product side, but also on the business side. But looking at the overall growth path for engines, so that's the overall engine market for our relevant portfolios of today. And you see large numbers. In 23, we would see 4,800 engines on the market, which is relevant for us. Currently, more than 90% is diesel. So first of all, good news, the overall market is expected to grow, driven by the mega trends mentioned earlier. I think this will probably, no one will contest that. And you see then, aligned with the page we had before, the diesel share will, at least from today's point of view until 2030, remain constant at around 90. So you see a larger than a circa and smaller than, so minor changes. And then we expect this share to shrink. But very important, putting into perspective, as DEUTZ, in a good year, we produced and sold 200,000 engines. So 200,000 is a drop in the ocean. So if we position ourselves as a strong consolidator, we want to avoid the name last man standing, but 200,000 are here. So there is enough for us to play successfully, but not necessarily in the areas, in the power segments and application segments we are right now. So that's why we defined 3 directions to develop our portfolio. So today, we are 75% or more in that segment, between 36 and 130 kilowatt, as well as in construction, material handling, and agriculture. So first of all, there is room within that box to grow. Winning competitors' market share, buying competitors' market share, organically developing. That's the first direction, the first lever. The second lever is extend into higher power ranges. Why is that? 2 reasons. First of all, the dependency of the combustion engine, the further we are to the right, is stronger. We wouldn't go to the left, because here this can become battery electric pretty quickly. Not everywhere, but the pressure is higher. So we move to the right, first reason. Second reason, the larger the engine, not only the higher the prices, but typically also the higher the margin. And thirdly, our third lever is we want to push into applications within comparable power ranges. Not only, we would rather go into down here, also into the right direction, like stationary, but also like defense and other pockets. Well, this drives us in our consolidation, organic as well as inorganic. And our inorganic consolidation measures we've done in the last 2 years was, for example, the acquisition of the Rolls-Royce Power Systems business. And that didn't come out of nowhere. That also came out of a structured strategic process. So we've got now, after 2 years, we've got a very good overview what's out there. We apply a typical funnel logic. You've all have seen pictures like that before. So we selected all markets, regions, and applications, focus on the ICE, the internal combustion engine, focusing very much on Americas, Europe, and Asia, not so much China. And we update that on a continuous basis. So we also look into horizontal and vertical consolidation, as well as forward and backward integration. And then we looked at everything which is out there, did a basic screening. Some of the partners may not be attractive or will definitely never be available. Other partners suddenly become available. Then it's important to be there. And the Rolls-Royce Power Systems deal is a good one, because before we entered into the partnership with Daimler Truck, Rolls-Royce Power System may have been interested to continue that business for the long term. But suddenly, with our partnership with Daimler Truck, we sort of ended the possibility for them to continue the business beyond 28. So suddenly, well, they were not necessarily forced to sell, but at least the willingness for them to sell was much higher than before. And the readiness for us to pay was also much lower than before. And that's what brings a good transaction. So we evaluate these partnerships continuously, and we've always got a good view on what would fit. So that's where transparency ends here. Although this might be very interesting for most of you. Okay, what's next in the pipeline? Well, we've got a lot of ideas, but they need to be available as well. With that, I hand over to Markus, who will, I think, pick up the micro here and speak about the Rolls-Royce business.
Thank you, Sebastian. And yeah, dear ladies and gentlemen, also warm welcome from my side. And a big thank you that you're joining us today. My name is Markus Müller. I'm the Chief Technology and Chief Sales Officer here at DEUTZ. And I'm excited to share exactly these recent achievements where Sebastian talked about with our strategic partners, which position us to continue to grow and to be innovative. And I want to start with the Rolls-Royce business integration. So that was the lever that we got access to the medium and heavy-duty engine portfolio from Daimler Truck. This was a quite complex asset deal, which the team managed to integrate within 9 months. And today, I think we are very proud to say that we have now a customer portfolio where we can say we have premium brands like Bell, Claas, or Ponce already on our side. And that was also a missing puzzle piece for us in the sales team, because there was a high uncertainty on the customer side how the previous partner will behave. So it was a good logic that we step in early. We have now the access to the product, and the customer has planning security for his upcoming machine portfolio and knows the engine supplier even today. All in all, the sales teams are out now, so they work on the customer relationship. I think there's a first important step. We managed that more than 90% of the customers followed the transition, and I can say the big ones followed all. That was for sure an achievement of the team, that they trust us, that they move over on our side. And the teams check now started the process where we identify potential for cross-selling. We believe we can gain market shares, and in 25 we believe that the revenue in a range of 300 million euro is achievable. This example shows that the team is capable to perform such kind of consolidation or integration, and is also a commitment from us that we want to continue to play a significant role on the consolidation path. The next slide is reflecting the consolidation approach, because we have 2 phases, and that is what I want to explain again here on this side. The first phase, I talked already about it, that is the integration of the Rolls-Royce Power System business for these medium and heavy-duty engines in the ag and industrial business. But there's a next phase in 28 coming up, and what does this mean for our customers? So we will be able to present a brand new heavy-duty engine product where we, together with Daimler Truck, develop a new engine which offers higher power, better performance, less fuel consumption, therefore less CO2 emissions. And this is the next driver for us to grow with existing customers, but also get access to a new customer base. So a very important step, and this will be a benchmark engine in the heavy-duty liter segment. And additionally, in 28, the team around Petra Meyer will take over the medium-duty engine production at DEUTZ. That is another change we see in 28. So a very good integration path so far with this product. We enjoy the partnership with Daimler Truck. We are doing good progress. And before I jump to the next partnership, we have a voice of a customer with us. I want to give Klaas the chance also to speak to you directly how they felt during the transition and what their expectations are on.
With DEUTZ, we are having now a new supplier in our supplier network who is understanding off-highway heavy-duty applications. Continuity and stability is extremely important to us in relation to our customer base. Due to DEUTZ, we are now having access to well-established and accepted engine solutions. Even though we are investigating alternative drive solutions, we are very convinced that a big degree of our product portfolio will be driven by combustion engines in the future. We are looking forward to a successful long-term partnership with DEUTZ.
Yeah, I can tell you that after a few months, we are all happy that we receive such kind of feedback. Klaas is a premium customer with high expectations, and that is also the task for the entire DEUTZ team, that we also in future fulfill the expectation of a premium customer like Klaas. So jump to a next very important strategic partnership. That is a partnership with John Deere, where we jointly develop a brand new 3.9 liter engine. And this engine will be the successor of the 3.6 and the 4.1 liter engine, which will offer in the same design space than the 3.6 more power, a better fuel consumption, and important for the customer, we can reduce variance on the customer side, because where we offer today 2 engines, we have tomorrow 1 engine. And that is a big benefit, where we believe that this will be a very successful product. And on the John Deere side, this will be the main engine in the tractor volume business on John Deere side. We are approaching now the start of production. It's in next year, 25, and then we see the first ramp up of these engines. Obviously, the product is brand new, so it's a modern design architecture, which offers also the ability that we can run the engine also in future with alternative fuels if we decide to go for it. A next important partnership is a partnership where we also 1st of August had the closing with the Indian partner Tata Motors. The parent company Tata is one of the big players in the ag business, number 3 globally, strong in India. And this is for us an important partner where we signed a long-term cooperation. We offer Tata a production license for the engine series 2.2, 2.9. We want to produce around 30,000 engines for local demand in India, for an upcoming emission stage, but also for global demand. And we expect that India moves into a next emission stage in April 26. It's called TREM 5. And this emission legislation is on the same level than EU Stage 5, means we have the product available, and with our competence and technology, which is already proven since here in the series, we see that we have a strong right to play. But let me have also a few words about emission legislation, because that was the key driver for us in the R&D teams, not just us, globally all engine manufacturers. And it was the last 20 years a kind of training where we were used, okay, finish the next emission stage. Once you have done, you could start with the next. That kept us all busy in the R&D teams. The positive thing is now there's on the one hand California discussing about an emission stage in 2032, 33. On the other hand, the big regulators like EU or the US EPA haven't started yet any discussion. So there's a kind of uncertainty, but put it positive, we have today an engine portfolio on hand which fulfills the highest global emission regulations, and here we can continue to sell. And as a, let's say, as a consequence, also we have to bring more flexibility in the R&D teams and work also on some structural costs to have the right answer on this global landscape we face here right now. And as Oliver showed at the beginning, which driver do we have? We have the external driver, that is emission regulations. So where we have to monitor closely the development. The other thing is that we have an increased cost situation here, and we need to work more with nearshoring or to also work with best cost countries and close partnerships. Our target is that we reduce 25% of our costs. We will see also an impact on the employment. So we have the target to reduce 60 full-time equivalent beginning of 25. We will have started again to analyze what are the key core competences we will have here in Cologne, and what are competences we, as I said at the beginning, where we look more regarding nearshoring. We have a good place already in Maribor, Slovenia, where we increased over the last years already our engineering capacity. There's a team, more than 60 engineers, and we will continue to do this. And on the other hand, looking also with a partnership with TAF also to make, for example, use of support out of India. One thing is clear, we want to be able that we also are able to manage new customer projects. So it's a reaction that we work here on our cost basis in Cologne in the R&D center. With that, I would like to hand over to my colleague Petra Meyer, our CEO at DEUTZ. Petra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Markus. So also a very warm welcome from my side to you here. We have met already last year, or most of us. And Markus, you talked about TAFE. Around 1.5 years ago, I visited TAFE, and I was really impressed because TAFE had high flexible production line for engines there, state-of-the-art line, and at that time we took the decision to go on with working together with them as a partner. For us and for their needs, TAFE is investing in a new line with our help, for sure, and also focusing on our requirements, because quality is key for us, and we want to assure that we produce quality products over there. And this new line will be established in 2026, that we are ready to start with production when it's needed. Another very positive point with TAFE is that TAFE, together with us, we are building up a supply base in India for our high runners, for the 2.2 and the 2.9 engines. And for us, it's really important to have at least a dual source for our components. Because as you know, we share our supply base with the automotive industry. And in the automotive industry, the volumes drop. And this creates distressed supply base. And when we just have a single source, we get into trouble with that, and we are still managing it, but our plan is to build up at least for our high runners dual sources. And the best thing what you can do is to have the dual source not in Europe, you have the dual source in a best cost country. And this is why we are so much concentrated and so positive about TAFE. So we also have run a program where we check our insourcing capabilities, because insourcing is also necessary where it's needed for key components. And this is what we currently check in our facilities and locations. What are our capabilities? And where can we already now insource different components? We have taken already some decisions. Here at our shaft center, we insource components for different kind of engines from the European market, supplier market, and there is more to come here as well. So to have a dual sourcing helps us as well in negotiating with our suppliers. We have given ourselves a target of 40 million euro for this year to reduce the cost on direct and indirect material. And that's huge. We are on a very good way. The discussion with our supply base is really tough, but we are managing it. And by the half of the year, we have already reached a saving of 24 million euro. So 62% already achieved. On the other hand, we also get price increases from our supply base due to inflation, higher labor costs, higher energy costs, in particular for European supply base. And we have started to run a program to defend and push back those price increases. And here we have a successful pushback rate of between 80 and 90%. That's more than we have ever had in the past. And this is how we concentrate very much on our costs, not only on material, but also in our plants. We have started to adjust our capacities in the plants to the market needs already at the beginning of the year. We have reduced shifts here at different lines. We went into short-time work in our plant in Spain. We have released already 350 people up to now in the year 2024. So that's a very strong and successful plan, but we see today that's not enough and we need to do more. We will go into short-time work. In some areas we have already started here in Cologne in our shaft center. We have started in October to go into short-time work, so we close 2 days per week. And we adjust our capacity wherever it is needed. And there is additional measures that we take. We also work on our working capital, and two major topics impact our working capital. On one hand, it's inventories, and on the other hand, it's CapEx. We have started to drive an inventory reduction plan. Our target is to reduce our inventory by 10% this year. We have a very strict plan with our regions for components plus finished engines to reduce the inventory, and we are on a very good way. And the same with CapEx. So we reduced spending CapEx on our equipment. We postponed projects that are not necessary this year to next year. We improved the utilization of our equipment, and we reduce also maintenance activities. But we do not save everywhere, but just where it's needed, because we invest as well. We invest in automation. We have done that last year already here at the location, and we invested 17 million euro. And this year an additional 8 million euro, which creates an additional productivity of 24% and an output increase between 10 and 20%. That's needed for our competitiveness, and this is what we are doing and progressing here very much. So these are the midterm and short-term activities. Here you can see for classic engines our footprint, our global footprint. And I do not talk too much about China, because in China the volumes don't pick up yet. In US we have constant sales funnel and we have constant market, but we need to talk about Europe. In Europe we have implemented now our new strategic projects, like the 3.9 engine. Here we invested in additional line. We have invested in a very, very highly flexible line, and you can visit the plant later on to look at it. And at that line, we produce the hydrogen engine, and in addition, the Daimler truck engine in the future. So we invested in this location on one hand, but on the other hand, we react also on changing product portfolio. And this means, and you might have heard it, that we have taken the decision to close one plant close to here. The plant is in Kalk, around 6 kilometers away from here. And we produce there crankshafts for, let's say, aged engines, and we have a constantly going down volume. And for this reduction of volume, it doesn't make sense to run this plant. So we transfer our products to other DEUTZ plants in Spain, in Ulm, but we close this plant here by end of 26. And there is more to come. This is what we are doing short term, mid-term, and long term to keep our classic business profitable. And that's necessary because we want to have the right to win. So I'm going to hand over to you, Sebastian, to explain more in classic.
Thank you very much, Petra, and also Markus. And I think you see that this classic business is by far not a boring business. And although, you know, the way we look at it in the long term, it seems like the top line is fairly flat. Well, it's not exactly flat, as I will show in a bit. But in order to keep it flat or to keep a moderate growth and to keep it profitable, make it more profitable, a lot of things are going on. And we wanted to give you a glance from operations, but also the R&D and sales side, what's behind that, because it's incredible effort being done here by all the teams to make that transformation happen also in the classic business. Right, revenue ambition for the classic business. We are currently on a level of 1.2 billion. That's only the engine sales, you know, not the services, obviously. And that's a fairly low number due to the declining business volume this year. How are we going to turn that into the 2.2 over the next years into 2030? And you see there are mainly three blocks. The one block is the Daimler truck engine part, the 300 million. We've taken that out of that baseline to make it more comparable here. So that brings us 0.3. And as Markus said, this is not like, you know, some grand dreams or so. This is an existing portfolio with very, very good and solid and reliable customers such as Claas. Second, volume and mix. 0.4 looks a lot on the first glance, but considering that we are on this level below 150,000, it's actually not that much. And we do not plan here like a hockey stick that by the end of the planning cycle, we're on the top of the cycle. It's more through the cycle planning, obviously on a higher level than we have right now, but not on an all-time high. So that's why that part, you know, is not as much as one could have thought. We also remember the picture where we said we want to go into larger power ranges. That contributes to the top line and consequently also to the bottom line. And yes, pricing will also play a role. I mean, we've done a lot on pricing in 22 and 23. The market allowed for that. We do not expect or not plan price increases on that level because we do not expect the market being that bullish. So here we assume we expect moderate price increases in line with market. So growing in line with inflation or with cost development. We do not consider margin increase by price increase. We rather consider stabilization of margins here. So these three blocks look very simple, but obviously behind each of the block is a lot of work. So that's the classic as we plan it. We want to spend before the break at least a couple of minutes on one of the new segments, the defense market. We keep it rather general right now, but want to show you where we are. So first of all, the trends are very supportive for defense as a new application segment. Let me distinguish here between the defense-specific part. Obviously, the budgets are increasing. The demand within the defense business for ground transportation is increasing, not only due to the wear and tear and destruction of the Ukrainian or of the equipment used by the Ukrainian forces. The competitiveness for integrators, particular in that ground transportation area, increases. So that's good for us to enter into market because you see a lot of players, also new players developing in that field. And we also see a tendency to heavier platforms there, from the light duty to medium duty and from medium duty to heavy duty. Technology service need is particularly relevant in defense. It's very, very interesting. And questions like fuel efficiency, electrification and hybrid, they have for the time being, they're not overly relevant because it's about ramping up the business here. But military innovation is at least a relevant factor where we also believe we have a right to play and a right to win. Not necessary to reduce CO2 emissions on the battlefield. That's not the main driver. But in order to have more silent equipment on the battlefield. So there are other drivers asking for very, very similar technological innovation. And the global market, as we see here, is growing quite significantly as well. So what does it mean for DEUTZ? We see in principle two pathways for that, organic and inorganic. So first of all, obviously, a lot of our engines, almost all of our engines, are in principle well suitable for defense business. Particularly the V engines, but increasingly also our new engine platforms. And what's extremely relevant in the defense business in principle is also the service, the ISS, in service and support. Because often when you sell an engine to an OEM in the military space, you sell immediately the service contract. And you often sell a service contract of 10 or beyond years. And we know that, for example, the MTU engine for the Leopard 2 tank, it's public knowledge, will leave a unit cost almost €1 million, and 800,000 of that is related to the service contract for 15 years. So that's a business model which we so far do not have. Our service business is great, but it doesn't have that stable planning horizon like we see in military. So organic, we're pushing now our engines into market, and one very recent small scale but example is this product Ingua 3. It's the Ukrainian/Polish co-development of, as you can see, a armed land vehicle. You can have that, you can order that in a 4x4, so 4 wheels, or 6x6 wheel configuration. And it can be just a transporter for people, but the 6x6 configuration also carries anti-tank weaponry as well as anti-air missile systems. So it's a very versatile product. And the demand, as you can imagine, in the Ukraine is quite a lot, because these type of vehicles are the ones where the military, where the forces of the Ukraine suffer the largest losses. So we talk here about this year. This year we were actually very proud. We replaced the Cummins engine there. Because first of all, I believe we have the better product, but the main driver why this Ukrainian company Ingua replaced Cummins with DEUTZ was because they liked our approach. They liked our ability for the application engineering, our closeness to the teams, also simply availability of people. And we talked initially only about 20 engines, but we believe for next year this can be 200. And that's just one example. Obviously, you can imagine a lot of these projects we cannot openly speak about, but this one, you Google it and you find exactly the same information I just said. So it's not a secret, but we just help to find the relevant information. We also assess a couple of M&A opportunities in that space, but yeah, nothing to say for the time being, of course, but for defense components which fit well to us, there's some interesting offerings out there. Unfortunately, not more to say on that, although it's exciting, but we want to give you a full picture as much as we can.
Disclaimer. As described in the legal section on our website, seat11a.com, this publication is for informational purposes only. This means it is not intended to provide you with any investment advice. Any opinion or recommendation expressed by the companies is neither given nor supported by us and should not be considered investment advice from our side. Also, remember that any opinion or recommendation expressed is subject to change without further notice. The content is obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, or timeliness. Seat11a.com and its employees disclaim all liability for any loss that may arise in any form from any use of the information in the video, audio, and on our website. We neither express any opinion on the future value of any security or other investment vehicle, nor recommend any investment based on the information provided. Please consider the publications and our website as a platform for companies to present themselves. You need to seek financial advice from an expert regarding the accuracy and appropriateness of the material presented or recommended by the companies in the publication. As we are just considered a publisher, we may hold and trade securities in the presenting company, whether it is a listed or private company. By consuming our content, you agree to these terms and the terms in our legal section on our website.